How to be yourself and not care what other people think. That's what I'm talking about today. And I definitely have personal experiences with this. If you are in a place where you are struggling with trying to figure out how you can be yourself and not focus so much on what other people think about you, then this video is for you. Because there's one thing that I really want to hone in on in this video. And I want you to really tune in and think about this. One of the first things that needs to happen in order for you to be yourself and not worry about what other people think is first ask yourself if you are comfortable with who you are. Are you in denial in some way? Do you feel like there's something that you don't believe is true about yourself, or something that you're still questioning within yourself, right? You have to believe it first. And this isn't about convincing other people of who you are, because you don't need to convince anybody of who you are, right? In order to not care about what they think. But it does come down to care. In order to care less about what other people think, you need to first get clear on if you're comfortable with who you are. Are you comfortable being who you are when nobody else is around? Is it only when people are watching that's like, oh, okay, I need to be this person, or I need to act this way, or I have to be all put together when these people are around? That's one of the first things I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to think about. Because until you start to find that level of peace within yourself, then it's going to be a challenge for you, because this is what tends to happen. When you care more about what other people think, the problem is you're seeking validation from other people because you don't have that confidence in yourself, or you're still questioning things about yourself, or you're still unsure and you don't believe in certain aspects of who you are, right? And so you're seeking that validation from someone else in hopes that that could be the thing that can convince you. But unfortunately, when it comes to people in general, you really can't control other people's opinion of you. It's actually not even something that should be an emphasis, right? Of you wanting to have a certain perception or have people think of you in a certain way. You really can't control that. So it can lead you into this cycle that could be unhealthy. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be people around you that are supportive and encouraging. That's not the case at all. You could have a very supportive network, a very supportive group of people around you that are constantly encouraging you. But still, whether that external validation is positive or negative, either way, the common denominator here is you. And if you don't have any type of belief, or you're still struggling with you being clear on what you're comfortable with when it comes to who you are, then you're always going to be seeking validation outside of yourself. So I'm encouraging you to tune in to yourself and ask yourself, am I comfortable with who I am? Like, if nobody else knew about the truth of who I am, who I truly am as a person, am I truly okay with that? Can I sit with that? Am I at peace with that? When you can answer yes, when you can answer that, with a very clear and strong yes, then you can move to that next level of the next question, which is, what is the worst thing that can happen if I just show up truly as myself while other people are watching, with other people around, and I'm just finally being myself, and I'm not trying to put on a facade or trying to act a certain way to please other people? What is the worst thing that can happen? And then based off of what comes up for you when you answer that question, I want you to think about how much of that do you actually have control over when it comes to worst case scenario. How much of that do you have control over? How much of that is something that even matters? People might stop talking to you. People might have a different opinion of you. People might judge you. Here's a question. Is somebody's judgment of you, is that paying your bills? Is somebody's judgment of you kicking you out of your house? Is somebody's judgment of you challenging or denying you of your basic needs in life? Because if not, then why are you giving them so much power? Ask yourself that question. You cannot control what other people think about you. What's more important is what you truly feel about yourself. And if you're not comfortable with who you are, or not comfortable with showing up as who you are, or even understanding what that means, like what does it even mean to be yourself? If you're not comfortable with that or you're not sure about that, it's okay to be in that space. But this is an opportunity to start to learn more about yourself. This is an opportunity to start to get reacquainted or even rediscover who you are. Because sometimes we end up in we have different stages of our lives, and who you were before changes. And I've talked about this before in other videos. It's like you change as life goes on, things happen in your life, you change and you evolve. And you can get to a point where the version of you that you once knew is no longer exists anymore. And you're stuck wondering, like, wait a minute, who am I again? I'm not even sure anymore. I don't know what that means. So if you're at that point where now you are kind of in limbo, you are questioning who you are at this point in your life, here's an opportunity to rediscover yourself. Here's an opportunity to pour into yourself. What is it that you love about yourself? What is it that you celebrate about yourself, despite what others may or may not think? Because that's the cycle that we end up in. If we don't believe it in ourselves, we have to find somebody else to validate it for us externally. And at the end of the day, you are with you all the time. Trying to keep up appearances for someone that really is not contributing to who you are as a person and how you show up in the world. Like, another person can't contribute to how you show up. Only you can do that. You have to decide. But it's hard to make that decision if you don't know who you are, or if you are, or if there's changes that have happened or that you're going through right now, and you're trying to figure out what that means for you. And when you're in that space, if you're in that point, and think about, maybe this is something that's already happened, right? This can happen at various points in your life. But when it comes to that that point of allowing yourself to just be, you have to find peace in that. And sometimes that means kind of going within and separating yourself, distancing yourself from people for a little while. And I'm not talking about being in, like isolating yourself. I'm talking about creating time, creating space in order for you to reflect, to go into that introspective aspect and start to learn about yourself, start to spend time with yourself, start to ask yourself some of the questions that I mentioned earlier in this video. Like when it comes to learning who you are and identifying like what are you comfortable with, what are you not comfortable with, what are you still questioning when it comes to you just being yourself? Do you even know yourself? Do you know who you are? Who are you? What does that mean for you? It is okay to question that and to wonder that and to be curious about that. And you might not get an answer right away. Sometimes it takes some time because we have conditioned beliefs where it's like we're told to be a certain way. You're raised to be a certain way or to act a certain way or to have certain values or principles. And then you can reach a certain point in your life where you start to, where those things don't make sense anymore. Or you're realizing that's not actually a part of who you are. Or you're realizing like you were acting a certain way or being a certain way or playing a certain role in your life to please other people, or because that's what you were told is like the right way to be. And now something in your spirit, something in your intuition, something in your body is like, no, this isn't, something's off. There becomes a disconnect. There becomes this inner conflict that can kind of happen. Have you been there? Are you at that point right now? Do you know somebody that is going through something like this, right? Where you start to just question and wonder, or it just doesn't make sense. Everything can appear to be going just fine, but there's some type of disconnect, and you're trying to figure out what that is. And that can often be a sign that you're out of alignment with how you're showing up versus who you truly are. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. And yes, you might not like it sometimes. And yes, other people might not like it either. And so when it comes to not caring what other people think, one of the things that I did was I stopped caring what other people thought about me, and I prioritized what I think about me. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. When you start to lean into what you care about for yourself and you put that first, other people's opinions, other people's thoughts of you it will hit different. Because then you're like, okay, well, I have a different foundation now because I am looking at and I'm tuning into what I need. I'm tuning into what I actually care about. And caring about something, like other people caring about it, does not make what you care about any less valuable or any more valuable. You place the value in what you care about. You place the value in what matters to you. And when you start to prioritize that and you put that first, it's a lot easier to stop caring as much about what other people think. And this doesn't mean you have to say that you're completely abandoning people in your life and you're completely ignoring what other people say or what people think. I'm not saying that it doesn't have to get to that level, but this is about prioritizing and having a form of like a level of what should come first. What you care about is the thing that should come first. That's one of the things that I did that allowed me to stop putting so much emphasis on what other people think. Because when you do that, you start to lose yourself in other people's opinions of you. And that is draining. Okay. So if you're at that point where all of your energy is being dispersed into other people's opinions of you, you start to vanish, you start to disappear, you start to become numb. And then that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother conversation on like what that means of kind of like coming back from that. So one of the things I want you, I'm going to keep like emphasizing this, is changing the priorities of what you care about. And first, really getting honest about yourself. Do you believe? Do you trust? What do you care about when it comes to yourself? Are you comfortable with who you are? Because if you're not comfortable with who you are, then you're always going to be looking for some type of external validation. And so this is the opportunity to do the inner work. This is the opportunity to pour into yourself. This is the opportunity for self-love. This is the opportunity for self-care. And to start to learn who you are again. Learn who you are again, or learn who you are for the first time. And this can happen at different stages of your life. Why? Because like I mentioned earlier, we change, we grow, we evolve. That's kind of the point of life. That's kind of the point of life. That's kind of, what it's all about, who we're becoming and what we get to unlearn and let go of so we can become more of ourselves. And yes, it will be scary. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. But when you start to allow yourself and give yourself permission to be yourself, to first be yourself by yourself. Okay, let me say that one more time. When you allow yourself to be yourself by yourself, then it makes it a lot easier for you to not place so much emphasis on other people's opinions of you. Because you know for yourself, and because at the end of the day, when you are by yourself, and I'm not saying that you have to be single, I'm talking about when you're by yourself, when you are alone in your room, in your apartment, in your office, or whatever, you are at peace, or you are willing to face yourself. That you're not afraid to look in the mirror. You're not afraid to be with your thoughts and to tune in and listen to your emotions. You're not afraid. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable though. You might not like how you're feeling. You might not like certain things or enjoy it. But you're at a point where you can sit with it. Some things might need to marinate a little bit. Some things will take some time to process, but you're not running away from yourself. How often I can think of so many times I've run away from myself, trying to just avoid trying to avoid myself. Oh my gosh. That's also exhausting. So being yourself is about finding that peace when you're alone. Because when you're able to do that in solitude, and you're not using work or relationships or whatever drama is going on in the world, in the news or on social media, when you're not using that as a distraction to keep you away from yourself, then you're really doing the work. Then things are really starting to solidify when it comes to you truly being yourself. Because then it's not about having some audience or having somebody to keep up appearances for or with. That's when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Can you look yourself in the mirror? Can you be with yourself alone and not try to constantly find ways or reasons to avoid your own thoughts or your own feelings or your own emotions? If you can't do that and you're at a point where you need support, then maybe it's time to pour into yourself and seek support. Whether that support is talking with somebody you trust, whether it is about working with a counselor or a coach, a therapist of some sort, a mentor. But there's a difference with seeking support, right? Because you're wanting to heal, or you're wanting to unpack those experiences, those feelings, or whatever, right? When you're wanting to sort through that so you can continue to be yourself, so you can learn more about yourself. There's a difference with seeking support for that to help you, to propel you forward and to nourish what's already there, versus just trying to seek validation from someone that really can't do anything for you. Seeking validation from someone that doesn't even know what you're fully going through. Seeking validation from someone that you're always trying to keep up appearances with, and you're trying to have a certain facade, you're keeping up a facade and a certain role that you play, a certain level of whatever it is, and you're trying to convince them, whether they realize it or not, that you're this great, nice person, or that you're this hard worker, or that you're so put together, right? Like, that's different. Hey, Shauna. Welcome, welcome. Ujo, please speak. Having to work a matrix job, a slave position, and how to be your true self, even though you know you could run a darn company, please. Ooh, man, listen. Let me tell you. When it comes to, thank you for this comment. Yeah, when you're in an environment, especially a work environment, where you do feel kind of stuck in, you feel trapped, and you feel like there is that part of you that should be running the company, or that should be doing, like, you should be at a whole nother level, right? You kind of feel pinned down in a position or a role that really is no longer in alignment with who you are. When you're in that type of environment, so there's a couple of things to consider. The first thing is, well, what will it take for you to transition out of that position or transition out of that type of job, right? Um, what would it take in order for that to happen? And so when it comes to you being your true self, part of it is that sometimes there's a part of you that there's a part of yourself that feels this level of safety or security in this position, and but also you're frustrated because you know that you want more and you're seeking more and you don't know how to get out of it. And so asking yourself that question is, what would it take for you to transition out of that position? Like, what would that look like? What would need to happen? I'm not just talking about, a job search, right? Or finding a new job or position. What is required? Like, who do you have to become in the process of that? What do you have to believe about yourself in order for you to move out of that position? Because sometimes there is a need, right, where you're trying to make ends meet and you don't see another way. So part of it is there has to the vision and the belief has to change. And that happens on that level of personal identity, of who you are and who you believe you are, and what you believe needs to happen in order for that transition, whether it's moving to a different position in that career field, or moving to a different job, or changing things completely, right? You have to become aware and get clarity on the beliefs that are keeping you there, and what beliefs need to change or expand in order for you to even have the capacity to see beyond that, to see, like, is this actually possible for me? Because it's one thing to want more. You can want more. You can want more, but not believe that it's possible for you. You can want more, or and not know how to actually make that work for you. I don't have support at all besides my twin flame. That's exhausting for both of us. Yeah, and that's one of the things when it comes to the support, right? So part of it is, so I mentioned, like, what needs to happen. There's the logistical aspect of it, right? When it comes to, finances and things like that, and making sure that you have your basic needs met. Starting to, when it comes to money, is it possible for you to save money if you don't already have savings? Is that possible right now? What could that look like to start preparing for a transition? So that's one thing that you would need to look at, but you also need to look at the beliefs, because when it comes to, and I come across a lot of people, a lot of clients that I actually have worked with, don't have support, and it's like it's just them. They don't know how. It's almost like this cycle that tends to come up, and it's like, how do you break the cycle? How do you get out of that cycle, out of that loop of being in situations or being in a career or an experience that is keeping you in that space of that person that you're trying to transition out of? It's like, okay, you feel stuck here, and this isn't for you anymore, but you don't know what else to do. What do you believe is true is the first question. What is true? Do you believe that work has to be hard, and that work has to be hard? Do you believe that work always has to be a struggle? What do you believe is true about work and your career? Also, when it comes to learning more about yourself, is who you truly are, is that in alignment with the position that you're in right now? If it's not, then start to revisit When were you in alignment with that? When did that change happen? Because you still have to address what that next step is going to look like. If you know this position or this role that you're in is no longer in alignment with who you are and is hindering you from being who you are, then this is an opportunity to explore what type of roles would allow you to fully express that. What role or position, or if it's changing careers completely, what could that look like? And I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow. What I'm saying is to explore the possibilities. Explore what you currently believe and explore what's true for you right now. Do you believe do and also what else is coming up is worthiness. Do you believe you are worthy of more? Is there a part of you that believes that you're not worthy of anything more than the position that you're in? If there is a part of you, and it is very common to want more, but also have a part of you that believes that you're not worth more. And that goes back to the inner conflict. Because there was once a time, you might be in a phase now where there's a part of you that doesn't believe that, but there is still an unhealed part of you that believes that you're not worthy, or that it has to be really hard, or that you have to struggle, right? So you have to address those beliefs. So there's always going to be that part that shows up. When you start to reveal that, then it's much easier for you to really align with to what could be possible. And let me know if that is helpful for you. And this is why it's so important when it comes to doing the work of being in solitude, which I talked about in my self-care series, about like being being with yourself and learning who you are, learning what's true for you. Because it's through that process, then you can unpack the things and start to release the things that were either conditioned beliefs. You can start to release the things that are no longer serving you, so you can reframe, rediscover, and identify your new set of beliefs, or your new truths. I used to believe that work had to be hard, and it had to be challenging. I had to work hard in order to make money. And it took me a long time to reframe that and realize, okay, there's a difference with I want work that challenges me, but that's not hard, like where I'm always exhausted. I don't want work that where I'm exhausted, right? I don't want work that leaves me drained every day. I don't want work that is keeping me at a point where I'm um, constantly feeling depleted. I don't have time to actually do other things in my life, right? So I had to recognize that about what I actually wanted work to look like. So ask yourself that question. What do you want? What is that? What is a perfect in a perfect world? Like what would you want work or career to look and like what would that look like for you? What do you want that to feel like? And what is your current belief around work? Let me know if that's helpful. And yeah, part of it is you have to address the things that you don't even realize are a belief. And I've talked about in previous videos, like we have these conscious beliefs and we have unconscious beliefs. So you can start to ask yourself those questions when it comes to work and career, what you currently believe about it, and then what you want to believe about it, or what you want that to look like. And then it goes back to, okay, what will it take for you to actually get from your current beliefs around it to where you're wanting to be? Because once you start to reframe what that is like on a belief level, then it's actually, then you can start to bring that into reality and start to look at how you can manifest that in real life. Greetings. Thank you for tuning in. So it's all connected, whether it's with your career, whether it's with your personal relationships, whether it's with how you want to show up in the world, um, the things that you want to do, and the things that you want to do. It all comes back to you understanding and connecting with who you are, and you determining your level of comfort with who you are. And once you are at a point where you're comfortable with being who you are by yourself, with when no one else is around, and you like and you're at a point where you can start to sit with your fears, and you can sit with um, your the things that you want for yourself, the things that make you uncomfortable. And again, if you need support in these areas, absolutely get that. Seek that out if you want to work with a counselor, a coach, a mentor, or something like that, to unpack some of these things so you can learn how to, if you don't have a way to properly cope with certain things. Maybe you have some past trauma or some past experiences, and you don't know how to properly cope with that, or it's leading to some type of toxic or unhealthy behaviors. Then please definitely seek support, seek counseling, seek working with a coach, someone like myself, or a mentor, or somebody that you trust. Right? Then absolutely do that. And yeah, and for anyone, if you're looking for a coach when it comes to you getting clarity on your life, and that next step that you're wanting to take, wanting to unpack that, then definitely connect with me if you're considering um, wanting to work with a coach. But it all comes back to you being comfortable with yourself, you understanding who you are, you not running away from yourself, and asking yourself those questions. Am I comfortable enough to be myself by myself? What do I believe is true? And what do I care about? When you start to prioritize what you care about more than what other people might think about you, put what you care about first, then it makes it a lot easier. Awesome. I'm glad that was helpful for you. And yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to post them in the comments. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. And I'm going to see you all again next week. Next week, Tuesday, I'm here, at least for now. I do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central here on my YouTube channel. So if you liked this video, be sure to give it a like. And if you have not done so already, please do subscribe and share this video if you feel it will be helpful to other people. I greatly appreciate that. And if you are wanting to focus on learning more about yourself and connecting more with yourself, then I definitely encourage you to check out my self-care series. I recently did that. It's a 4-part series, and that playlist is linked in the description of this video. So definitely check that out because it can help give you some structure and just some ways to kind of um, incorporate self-care, because a part of self-care is about learning who you are, right? That's part of that process. And I share some tips and some advice on how you can either get back into a self-care practice or what you can do to improve what you're already doing. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.